Hey everybody, this is Miss Youngblood here, bringing you this week's content week for geometry, which is surface area and volume. In our first session for the week, session 1, we're going to just be talking about surface area and looking at what that actually is. So we're going to go ahead and switch to Khan Academy. You do have these 2 assignments in Khan Academy that we're going to work through together. So we are going to start by doing this together, which is not a specific assignment for you guys, but we're just going to work through what this is actually saying. And I found it most meaningful to probably outline these in colors so that you guys can actually see what this surface area, where this picture is coming from. So as I said, we're talking about surface area today, which is basically finding the area of this cube or this outside shape. So this first example is a cube. Right, we have a square as all the bases or all the edges, all the shapes on this 3-dimensional object are a square, so this is called a cube. So to find the surface area, you want to find the area of all of these squares that make up the cube. So if we get out our pen, we can see that we have 1, 2, right? So far we have 2 squares that make up this cube. Let me change my color maybe to orange. 3, 4. I actually think that I didn't switch my screen. Did I switch my screen? I didn't. So let's switch that so you guys can see what I'm actually talking about. So far, I just started tracing the squares in this cube. I'll retrace them. So we have 1 square, 2 squares, and then again, I was tracing 3 squares, 4 squares, and if we change our color again, 5, 6. So there are 6 squares that make up this 3-dimensional object called a cube. To find the surface area, we want to find the area of each of these squares and add them together. So for example, if we look at this net, this is just a way to kind of flatten out the 3-dimensional object into something that's 2-dimensional, so we can clearly see the area. So this bottom square down here is this bottom square on this net, right? That's 1 square. And this top square right here would be this top square, or this square furthest to the right here. And then these 2 side squares, I think I made them orange, it looks like. Hopefully I made them orange. These 2 side squares are going to be here and here. And then this front and back square, which I believe I made pink. If not, you can see what ones I'm talking about are here and here. So to find the area, we want to find the area of each of these squares and add them all up. So remember, to find the area of a square, you multiply the height or the width times the length, right? So this is 4, and because we know this is a square, or because we know this is a cube, we know all these lengths are the same. And that's why it was kind of helpful for them to put the net in this grid, so that we can see this length is 4. Because this is a square, this length has to be 4, so this area is going to be 16. Again, same thing here, it's a square, so these sides are the same. So this area has to be 16. Then again, this has to be 16. And these have to be 16. So again, that's because all of these, basically all of these sides are 4. I think you guys have the gist, but just want to make sure you can clearly see. And you can count the squares. So all these sides are 4, all these areas are 16. So we have 16 squares with an area of 16. So we would do 16 times 6. 16 times 5 gets us 80, plus 16 more is 96. So our area, we could write that as 16 plus 16. I actually think I made this. I did make this kind of big, but it's okay. Yeah, first one can be big. So 16 plus 16 plus 16 plus 16 plus 16 plus 16. So the whole area we're going to type in is going to be 96 units squared. And that's because they didn't give us any units. Okay, for our next Khan Academy problem, we're given this rectangular prism. So the reason this is called a rectangular prism is because we have two bases that are rectangles, and then we have a height that is stacked between those rectangles. And we'll get into that later, how that corresponds to like the volume. But let's go ahead and kind of figure out how this net to find the surface area came from this rectangle. So we see we have these two rectangles in the front and the back that have dimensions 2 by 3, right? So both those dimensions are 2 by 3. So let's use our pink marker first. This rectangle here, 2 by 3, and this rectangle here, 2 by 3. So because we have those two rectangles, 2 by 3, we want to find where those are in the net. So we can see they're right here. Here's the front, 2 by 3, and here's the back, 2 by 3. And we know the area of those two rectangles is going to be 6. So again, even though the numbers aren't here, we know these lengths are the same, 2 squares by 3 squares. So this area is going to be 6, and this area is going to be 6, which means these two rectangles have an area of 6. Now let's look at these rectangles that we have up top. So we have this rectangle, right? It has a length of 2 by 5. We know this is 5 because this length down here is 5. And again, this is going to be another 2 by 5 rectangle. So we have two 2 by 5 rectangles. And we can see those rectangles right here. 2 by 5 and 2 by 5. So these two areas are going to be 2 times 5, which gets us 10. So we have these two areas are 10. And then our last rectangles are these rectangles in the front, or maybe you could think of this as the right and the left. However you are viewing the rectangles. I think I already called the other ones front and back. So this one is 3 by 5. I'm trying not to go over the colors so you can see. And this one is 3 by 5. So those are these two rectangles on the net. 3 by 5, 3 by 5. So this area is 15 and this area is 15. So the area of these two rectangles are going to be 15. So to find the total surface area, we're going to add all these areas up. So we know we have 15 plus 15, which is 30. And then we know we had plus 10 plus 10, which is 20. And then we know we had plus 6 plus 6, which is 12. So that gets us a total area. 30 plus 20 is 50. 50 plus 12 gets us 62. And they didn't give us units, so it's going to be 62 units squared is going to be the surface area of this rectangular prism. Okay, in our next problem, we are given a square pyramid. So a pyramid is a three-dimensional object where you have one base. It's named by the base. That's why it's called a square pyramid, and a point at the top. So it goes from the base to a point. And usually you go, well, always when you're creating a pyramid, you're using triangles for the sides to meet up at that point. So that's why the net looks like this. We see the base here, and we see the 4 triangles that are used to connect at this point. So let's look at these specific areas. So if we look at this square, oops. So remember, this is a square pyramid because the base is a square. They did tell us that in the problem that it was a square. Khan Academy. So we have this square. The area for this square, well, because it's a square, we know that all the sides are the same and they even label them for us. So this area is going to be base times height. So 2 times 2 gets us an area of 4. So that area down there is 4. And we want to find the area of all the triangles. And we know all the triangles have the same area because they have the same base, which is 2. And for a pyramid, all the heights have to be the same in order for them to meet at the top. So I'm trying to draw all 4 triangles. Maybe, let me actually do them in different colors. That might be helpful. Okay, oops. Put that 4 back, please. Did I write it? Oh, 4. Okay. So let's do the first triangle in this blue color. So it doesn't really matter, but let's just say that that's this triangle down here. That's that blue, actually, maybe. No, yeah, that's that blue color. And then for this purple color, we can use this triangle, right? And if we're moving around, that might be this triangle here. And then with this, did I use pink? Maybe let's use this green color. We have this triangle, so that might be this triangle right here. And then lastly, let's use maybe a lighter blue. So we'll use this light blue color for this triangle here. And that would be this triangle here. So basically we're going to find the area of these 4 triangles and add them to this 4. So remember, the area for a triangle is 1/2 base times height. The base and height make a right angle. So this area, well, let's do this one first. As I already said, the heights are the same. This height is 2, this base is 2, so you would do 2 times 2, which is 4, and divide it by 2. So the area is going to be 2. Let me actually write that over here. Area for the triangle was 2 times 2 divided by 2, which got us 2. So remember, that was base times height divided by 2. And then let's use this purple again. So this area is going to be the same. 2 times 2 divided by 2 is 2. Let's use this green again. This area is going to be the same, another 2. And this last area, this darker blue triangle down here, is going to have an area of 2 as well. So we're just going to add up all these numbers. So we would have 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4. So we know 2 times 4 is going to get us 8. 8 plus 4 is going to get us 12. So our final area for this square pyramid is going to be 12 units squared. Okay, and in our last problem, using nets, we're given a triangular prism. So again, this is called a triangular prism because we have 2 triangles as the bases. 2 triangles as the bases, and then we know that they're going to be connected by these rectangles. So let's look at these triangles first. So here's our first triangle, or here are 2 triangles right here. Right here in the net. So let's try to find those areas. Remember, the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2, like we just used. So the base and height make the right angle. That's these 2 sides. 6 times 4 gets us 24. 24 divided by 2 gets us 12. So both of these areas are going to be 12. So for our surface area, we know we're going to have 12 plus 12, which is 24. Now let's look at the area of these 2 rectangles. So we have this rectangle here that has dimensions 4 by 5. And this rectangle here that has dimensions, I don't know where I got 4 from. This is 7 by 5. So this one is also 7 by 5. If we wanted to find those rectangles in the actual figure, they would be here, right? 7 by 5. And here, 7 or 5 is how I'm drawing it, by 7. Okay, so those are where those 2 rectangles are. So again, to find the area of a rectangle, we're just counting up how many squares there are, doing 7 times 5. So both of these are going to have an area of 35 units squared. So we're going to add both those 35 plus 35. Going to get us 70. So far we have 24 plus 70. And then for this last rectangle, Let's use a different color. Let's use green. This last rectangle is right. This big rectangle on the inside. That makes the bottom. So that's this rectangle. So this 6 is right here, and this 7 or this 7 is right here. So this area, we would just do 7 times 6, which would get us 42. And we only have one of those, so we're not going to add an extra 42. So we're just going to do plus 42. So 24 plus 42 gets us 66. 66 plus 70 gets us 136. So our area should be 136 units squared for the surface area of this triangular prism. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the actual assignments that you were given. I don't believe they were long. In the first assignment, you're finding the surface areas by adding their areas. I believe it's only 4 problems. Yes, only 4 problems. So let's look at these 4 problems. The first one, which expression can be used to find the surface area of the following triangular prism? So they're not giving you the net anymore, but they want you to look at which of these repeated additions is represented in this triangular prism. Remember, this is a triangular prism because we have 2 bases that are triangles. So because you have 2 bases that are triangles, it's a triangular prism. So let's try to find the area of these 2 triangles first and try to eliminate some of our options. So the area for this triangle is going to be the height, which is 2, times the base. And remember, the base is the side that is perpendicular to the height. So we're going to have 2 times this length, which is 8. These lengths have to be the same. So 2 times 8 is 16, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. So the area of both these triangles is going to be 8. I'm actually going to redraw this in my sketch pad so you guys can clearly see. So again, I just redid here what we just discussed on the Khan Academy screen. The area of these 2 triangles is 8 based on this formula using their height and base. So that's the area for those 2. So now let's look at the area for these 2 rectangles. If we choose a different color like orange, we have this area or this rectangle and this rectangle here. Right, so we have these 2 rectangles. The dimensions for both these rectangles are going to be 5 by 11. So this length has to be the same as this length. So this is 11. And same thing here. For this rectangle, we have 5 by 11. So for those areas, we're just doing 5 times 11. So that gives us 2 areas of 55. Plus 55. Plus 55. Then our last rectangle we have is this front rectangle right here. So let's use a different color. Let's use this light blue. So if we have this front rectangle, this rectangle that's in the front, the area for that front rectangle is going to be base times height. So 8 times 11. So we would do 8 times 11, which is us plus 88. So this is the expression that we're going to look for in Khan Academy. 8 plus 8 plus 55 plus 55 plus 88. That order might be switched, but it means the same thing. So now with this problem, we're doing the same thing, but now we have a pyramid. So remember, a pyramid or a square pyramid in this example, remember that a pyramid has one base. So our base is a square. And the other side is going to meet at a point. So one base and a point. A base and a point means you have a pyramid. 2 bases mean you have a prism. So this is a square pyramid because the base is a square. So that means the area for this bottom shape, this bottom square, we would just do 6 times 6 because we know this length is still 6. So to find the area, we did 6 times 6, which is 36. And now we're going to try to find the area of these 1, 2, 3, 4 rectangles. So there are 4, or triangles, excuse me, 4 triangles in this shape. So here's one triangle. Here's another triangle. Here's another triangle. And another triangle. So there are 4 triangles. And all of their areas are going to be 1/2 the base times height. So the base is this 6, the height is this 5. So we're going to do 5 times 6 divided by 2, which gets us 30 divided by 2, which is 15. And again, we had 4 of these triangles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 for each of the sides of the square. So we're going to have 4 15s, 15 plus 15 plus 15. So 15 times 4 is 60. So this is going to simplify to 60, bring down this 36. So the area for this, the surface area for this square pyramid should be 96 units squared. I'm just gonna briefly explain this next one without the drawings. So we have 2 rectangles here that have an area of 2 by 3, so 6 by 6. So we would add those 2 areas, 6 plus 6. We also have these 2 rectangles here that have areas of 10, so 10 plus 10. And then these larger rectangles in the front that have dimensions 3 by 5. And this one back here has dimensions 3 by 5. So both of these are going to have an area of 15. So it's going to be 6 plus 6 plus 10 plus 10 plus 15 plus 15. So it is going to be A for this. Next one we have, we're given another triangular prism. So again, we have these 2 bases that are triangles. Base times height divided by 2. So 3 times 4 is 12 divided by 2 gets us 6. So we're going to have 6 plus 6. And then the area for this rectangle is going to be 3 by 5, right? 3 by 5. So this rectangle is 15. We have 6 plus 6 plus 15. The area of this rectangle down here is going to be 40. So we have 6 plus 6 plus 15 plus 40. And this rectangle here is going to have an area of 50. So 6 plus 6 plus 15 plus 40 plus 50. So let's see. Or was it 30? Did we have a 30? So let's see. 6 plus 6. So we need 2 6s. So it has to be this one. I must have thought of this one wrong. Oh, I'm glad I said that. So this area, this length is 5, this length is 10. So this is 3 times 10. So we have 30 plus 40 plus 50 plus 6 plus 6. So that's why it has to be C. Okay, so that's your first assignment is just figuring out how the expression relates to the picture. So the next one, they just want you to jump straight to the surface area. So I'll probably do one of these in the notes and then go through the rest with you guys right here. So this shape is a cube, or you could think of this as a square prism, right? You have 2 bases that are squares. So this is a square prism or a cube, so we know all the dimensions are the same. So to find the surface area, we need to find the area of all 6 squares. So the reason this one is kind of challenging is because they don't actually show you a picture where you can clearly see all the sides. We do have a square here, a square here, square on the top, square on the bottom. So there are actually going to be 6 faces for this. So to find the area of 1 square, we would do 20 times 20, which is 400. We would have 400 basically 6 times. So 400 times 6 is going to get us 2,400. 2,400 is going to be the surface area of this cube. All right, so let's actually look at this one in the notes. Actually, I did decide to keep this one here because I do think we have enough examples in the notes. And if you do need help, you guys know you can reach out. So for this area, or surface area, we have a square pyramid. So look at this square down here, because this is a 4 and it's a square, all these sides have to be 4. So the area of this square down here is 16. So we know we have 16. Now let's look at the area of these triangles. So we have 4 triangles because we have 4 sides, right? 1 triangle here, 1 triangle here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the height for these triangles are 3. So the height is 3 and the base is 4. Area of a triangle we know is base 4 times height 3, so that gets us 12, and divide that by 2, so we have 6. And we're going to have 6 4 times, so plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. So we have 4 6s. 4 6s is going to give us 24, and 16 plus 24 gets us 40. So our surface area for this square pyramid should be 40. Next question. They love giving us these hard ones. So again, they tell us that this is a square pyramid, so it's just like the one we just did. We have a base that's a square. Again, don't let the drawing trip you up that much. We have a square down here with sides that are all 8s. Right? So to find the area of that, we do 8 times 8. 8 times 8 times 8. So that gets us 64. So that's the area for the square, this base down here. And then we have 4 triangles for the 4 sides of the square. So 1 triangle here, 1 triangle here, 1 triangle hiding back here, and 1 more hiding back here. So we have 4 triangles. And remember, their areas are base times height divided by 2. So we would do 8 times 5, which is 40. So what I said was we would do 8 times 5, which is 40, and then divide that by 2. So that would get us an area of 20. And again, we have 4 triangles. So 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. So we would have 24 times, plus 20, plus 20, plus 20. So these 4 20s would simplify to 80. And then 80 plus 64 is going to get us 144. So that is the surface area for this square pyramid. Next question. Yay, they actually give us something where we can see. So again, we have another square pyramid. Because it says a square, we know all these sides are 8, just like we did in the last problem, actually. So 8 times 8 gets us 64. So the area for that square down there is 64. And then we're looking at the area for these 4 triangles. They all have a base of 8 and a height of 6. So to find their area, we would do 8 times 6, then divide that by 2. Divide that by 2. So 8 times 6 divided by 2 is going to be 24. 8 times 6 is 48. Divided by 2 gets us 24. And we have 4 of these triangles for each of these sides. So 1 triangle, 2 triangles, 3 triangles, 4 triangles. So we're going to have 4 triangles with an area of 24. 24, 24. 4 times 24 is 96. So we're going to add 96. And then 64 plus 96. Well, in my head, I would do 4 plus 96 is 100. Then add that extra 60. So I would get 160 units squared for that area. And yay, we got them all right. We're awesome. So those are the 2 assignments that you have due by, I believe I made the due date tomorrow, so Tuesday. And then, yeah, I'll assign the next ones relatively soon so you guys can work on those. So thank you for watching. Please keep in mind, I'm always on Google Hangouts during the assigned class times. So today was Monday. This was 3A Geometry from 12 to 1:30. I'll be on here until 1:30. Tomorrow, Tuesday, 2B is my prep hour. So if you reach out to me through email or text, I can set up an appointment and we can meet to go over some problems you might be struggling with. But I should see you guys tomorrow, Tuesday, for 4B Geometry from 1:30 to 3. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Also keep in mind, I'll have the weekly check-in form for you guys to fill out. That'll be posted here in this week. So I'll post that sometime today. So make sure you're filling that out, excuse me. But thank you for watching, and I will hopefully see or hear from you guys soon. Goodbye.